What's up and welcome back to Kind of Funny's The Last of Us Season 2 breakdown. Of course, I'm your host, Tim Geddes. I am joined once again by Blessing Adeoye Jr.
Good day, Tim.
And Greg Miller.
Season 3 champ.
Season 3 champ. Kind of Funny Game Showdown. Go watch the finale now. YouTube.com/kindoffunnygames. It's a great finale, Bless. I got to give credit.
Yeah,
where
Bless, you do a great
due.
job with this show.
Yeah.
This show's amazing.
I'm glad you're saying it now that you won.
Sometimes
Sometimes what?
God and or Satan's on your side.
Sometimes.
Maybe they're both on my side. Who knows?
Yep, exactly. Remember, everybody, this is our weekly breakdown of The Last of Us each and every Monday right after the Sunday night premiere of the latest Last of Us episode. We're going to break down everything we just saw. And, of course, today we're doing that for episode 4, day 1 of season 2. This was directed by Kate Herron, who y'all probably know from the Loki series.
Hell yeah, we do.
And Craig Mazin wrote this one. We have 3 episodes remaining in this season of television. Very, very, very crazy. Of course, got some housekeeping for you. Remember, Greg is about to do a whole bunch of cool stuff at PAX East this Thursday. You need to be part of it at 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific. Greg's going to be the keynote speaker kicking off PAX East. And I don't think we're making a big enough deal about this. This is awesome. I know on some shows we might have, but this is really freaking cool. Keynote speaker.
Yeah.
Celebrating 10 years of Kind of Funny with Ben Starr.
Yeah, Ben Starr coming through to interview me. Of course, Kind of Funny best friend who's a little bit famous. So why not have him come in and ask a bunch of cool questions? I'm excited for it.
Yeah, very, very cool. I'm excited to see that as well. And I can, because even though I'm not there, I get to watch live on Twitch. And also, he's hosting the Mafia Old Country panel with the devs at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. You can, if you're at PAX East, if you're at Boston, go support both those panels in person. Otherwise, please watch online.
They'll be on we'll be streaming to our channel. So you can come straight to twitch.tv/kindoffunnygames.
Yes.
No
YouTube due to tech issues on our side. So just watch on Twitch all day here. Remember, we are an 11-person business all about live talk shows. Today, we've already done a whole bunch of stuff. We have Kind of Funny Games Daily in the books. Kind of Funny Games Cast. It's a month out from the Nintendo Switch 2 launch. We all talk about what we pre-ordered, what we want to get, and just our hype levels in general for the new console from Nintendo. After this, you're getting a stream, an NVIDIA-sponsored stream of Cyberpunk 2077, continuing Nick's addiction to the game. Then, to close out the day, we are doing Alien in review for Alien Covenant, so stay tuned and hang out with us all day. If you're a Kind of Funny member, today's Greg wastes 15 plus minutes about how you failed him.
Yep.
So definitely pay us money to listen to content about you being the problem.
Listen, you're not going to better yourself if you don't get some sour with the sweet once in a while, all right? Every Greg, why I'm incredibly sweet to you fucks, but this time you let me down. And so it's time you heard about this and how you sandbagged me and tried to stop me. But if the championship strap didn't give it away, nothing's slowing me down. Ben Starr, prepare your mouth. PAX East.
Because he's a voice actor.
Yeah.
I hope that's what it is.
I really hope that's what it is.
I really hope that's what it is.
Thank you to our Patreon producers, Carl Jacobs, Omega Buster, and Delaney Twining. Today, we're brought to you by Imperial Aura Frames and BetterHelp. But we'll tell you about that later. Let's get into it. Last of Us, Season 2, Episode 4. Bless, you've been gone from this show for a while because you had to go to Gallivant in Japan.
That's what I do.
What did you think of this episode?
I think this is the best episode of the season so far. One of the best episodes of the show so far. I think this episode did a lot for me in making me believe in the direction of the season and making me go, oh, this show is okay without Pedro Pascal. Of course, Pedro Pascal, my favorite part of the show, right? In the first season and in a couple of episodes, right? But I think what they did here as far as introducing us to the new version of the show, I feel like the last couple of episodes have existed in a different ether than the first couple episodes. I think episode 1 and 2 felt like the continuation a bit of episode 1, even though that feels weird to say because it's
season 1.
Season 1, thank you. It feels weird to say because it's all, structured by how the games are, right? But there's something about being on the road with Ellie and Dina and getting that chemistry established and getting Isaac as a character introduced here and getting his character established and seeing how they're building tensions between all these different things that is really working for me. I think this apocalypse got to be a top 5 apocalypse or worst 5 apocalypse to exist in, I'll say, right? I think there was the line partway through the episode where Dina's like, man, what the fuck is up with Seattle, right?
Yeah.
And you look at all the different things happening at once and it brings me back to, I think, some of my favorite feelings of watching Walking Dead back in the day of when something new gets introduced, when you get to the farm or you get to the governor's town or something and it's oh shit is fucked. There have been multiple times just this episode where I'm like, damn, dude, like shit is fucked, right? Like seeing the ways in which the scars have gone, or the Seraphites have gone after the wolves. Seeing Isaac,
I'm not gonna use the slur.
Yeah,
Talk about
my
this
bad.
fictional one.
but like seeing like how Isaac is like how he kind of got introduced to the wolves and like that turn of his character, but then fast forwarding to how like he's gone full like I'm gonna burn people with a pan, I'm gonna torture them because I feel like they've wronged me, and then you get the other side of it, right? Like I think that stuff has been built very well, but then you get to even just the wolves as a force. The fact that you are, as Ellie and Dina, dealing with like hordes of infected, dealing with the Seraphites tearing people apart, but then dealing with also a military, which is probably the scariest thing that you can deal with in a apocalypse. Like I think all that stuff was set up very well, and then not to mention like the excellent redoing of like how they have the reveal of Ellie telling Dina that she's immune, Dina telling Ellie that she's pregnant, how that then leads into them confirming their relationship. Like that's been one of the few moments in watching this TV show where I'm like, oh, y'all did it better than the game.
Damn.
Like there are very few parts of the show for me where I would say that. This for sure is one where I'm like, damn, like I can't believe how well you're able to build these things together to then have them all kind of lead into like what each character is going through thematically with the story, and then also what you're building on top of it. Like I think this is just an excellent episode of the show.
Greg, what do you think?
I mean, I echo everything he said. Fantastic episode of TV, fantastic episode of The Last of Us in terms of the pantheon of great episodes here. They continue to do what we've complimented them for week after week, Tim, of right, build off of what we already know and expect, but make it better, flesh it out. Again, the stuff here with Isaac, I thought was so well done, and what a cool opening, right? To go back to 2018, have him back there. Is that Drake or Josh? One of them.
Josh.
Yeah.
Is that Drake or Josh?
Don't
That's
you dare.
hilarious.
I don't know. I never watched that show. I know that it's a thing or whatever. To have him there and then have him then be such an asshole and then just pan the camera to Isaac and as he lays it all out of like, everybody sucks and get out. What's about to happen? Pulls the fresh meat with him, goes back, tosses the 2 grenades and shuts it. It's like, damn, that's awesome. Let alone to get it to then, where he is years later, obviously incredibly jaded, working with the wolves, burning people. And Jen was like, oh, we were watching that after. And she's like, oh, was he? Yeah, he was in the game too. I forgot about that. I'm like, well, yeah, because we've probably seen as much of him in this one episode as we did in the game. How underutilized Jeffrey Wright was and Isaac was in the actual game. Cool to see way more here and see that he's going to be more pivotal to the story. But then the rest of it just so well done, so creepy but so heartwarming. Again, I think it's so special that they were able to nail that take on me moment the way the game did. Because I remember when you get to that scene in the game, as Neil calls out in the afterwards of like it was a fan favorite, it was something you couldn't miss, whatever. I didn't miss it playing it, and I remember sitting there watching and watching the performance, right, from Shannon and from Ashley and listening to Ashley's vocals. And I was like, it was one of those moments where I really felt like I was next to Dina watching it. And it was so beautiful in this game that's obviously always so dark and always so fucked up to have that, watch the show last night and have the exact same thing. Where it's just this beautiful ray of sunshine pouring through, Ellie sitting there playing it, Dina coming up, her sitting down, the tears in her eyes as she watches this moment of beauty in a world that's so ugly. So well done. And then the changes they made, the things they did, I had a great time last night.
Was it Take on Me that they sang in the game as well?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I think I missed that part.
Oh yeah, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
That's I didn't know you could miss it, but I guess that's just the way I played that game. And like when he said that in the after thing, oh, it's optional. I was like, was it really? Like I can't believe that such an amazing moment is missable in that game because God, that was special. But yeah, I loved this. Continue to love the show. Continue to love the story. And for me, the thing I enjoy most about the HBO version is where it stays the same and where it decides to be different. And as long as it's still great, like that's what matters. And I think that for me, the show continues to make the right choices and what to change and how to change them. I think that the relationship between Dina and Ellie in the show is better is almost a silly thing to go with. I love it. Like that's all that really matters. I loved it in the game, but I want to say I love it more here just because we get a little bit more of it. I like the show's Dina so much better than I liked her in the game, and that's just from the amount she was in it. I feel the first couple episodes we've gotten here of all the Jackson stuff got us to a point now that when the changes they made with the reveal of I'm pregnant, I'm immune, all that stuff, it just hit harder for me. And I thought that them getting together officially and like that whole scene was just believable in a way that I feel like they could have really fumbled if they made just a couple different choices in the prior episodes, but they got us here in such a beautiful way. Obviously, the Take on Me scene was like emotionally stirring, right? Like the performance from Isabella Merced in particular. I don't know that I've ever on camera seen somebody look like they love someone else
Chemistry.
more
There's
than
such
that.
chemistry.
Like the tears in her eyes, just the glow on her face. Like it was powerful stuff, man. And such a beautiful moment. You mentioned the sun coming through, and it's like, I love so often watching the show how I'm tempted to pull up on YouTube and just look up what did the scene look like in the game, and to see how much they nail the authenticity of what the game presented, but then have just these new elements that like real cameras can add, and like real set design and production design that you can't do in CG. Like there's this human factor to it all. I'm so damn impressed with it. And on top of that, the amount of things that happened in this episode is kind of wild. Like the amount of action set pieces, the amount of moments from the game they translate, whether it's the TV station and the genuine fear you have for these characters as they're hiding from the fucking WLF.
Yeah.
Getting into all the infected in the subway, like, and it's just like moments that I'm like, oh my God, they're translating the feeling of the game to a show.
I think this episode had my favorite action of the show so far, right? Like the going from being in the building where the Seraphites, I'm just keep saying Scars on X-Men. The Seraphites
I'm so sorry.
I'm so sorry. But yeah, like where they have like all the wolf soldiers hung and their guts are out, like seeing that, it's like, damn, that's fucked, right? But how that leads into a stealth sequence between Dina and Ellie hiding from the wolves that are now back and like trying to hunt down. Like there's a palpable, oh shit, you guys are fucked. Like I know obviously it's a TV show, so I know they're gonna make it out, but legitimately I am like, damn, like this is such a precarious place to be. Going into the like subway scene where, you know, you hear the soldiers, you hear the infected, and seeing Dina just count like 1, 2, like putting up the fingers, and as she gets to 5, and like just seeing the fear on her face, I'm like, this is that good shit, man. This is that good shit right here.
Yeah, and I didn't even mention Jeffrey Wright, which I do think is so far in the entire show, I think the best addition is getting more of him.
Sure.
And I've been so impressed with Jackson, but already how much more fleshed out the past and what we know will be future of the WLF with Jeffrey Wright's character here is, I think, just phenomenal. Him throwing the grenade in there, like the introduction of the concept of voters, I think is terrifying and perfectly fit into this world. And it gives me a lot of hope for as we get towards the end of the game, dealing with the Raptors and the Santa Monica stuff. Like I'm hoping that we get better, more fleshed out. And like already, like I thought the WLF was great in the game, but seeing the scene with the Seraphite being tortured is it's so brutal. It's hard to watch and hard to look at, but the dialogue that they have, I think, is so powerful. And him saying that how many wolves become Seraphites? Like every day somebody does. Seraphites never become wolves. God damn, that's that good shit.
Yeah, that's
and
that
then
good
it was
shit.
the same thing too, though. I thought, the show's been such a great job of talking about like, well, I was like last week, oh man, they introduced the Seraphites, and the way they introduce them immediately makes them likable. You can understand them to some degree, blah, blah, blah. But then we keep seeing both the WLF and the Seraphites as humans, but then with the horrors they can do, right? And so to have that actually be part of the conversation in the torture scene, right? Of like, you're the one I can't do a good Jeffrey, right? Well, you're the one who teaches children to shoot us. It's because you shoot. I'm not going to get into this who shot first, dude. And not even in a dismissive, you're right and I'm wrong way. In a very much like, no, I know, who knows where it really started. We're not doing that right now. But it is like, oh, wow, that's how complicated the world is for all these people.
Yeah. Absolutely. Bless, where you want to take it now?
Oh man, I guess I'm trying to think, because I want to talk more about like the Dina and Ellie of it all, because I think one of the things that I really loved, obviously the show takes place in Seattle, right? Like, and this is something I loved about the game too, is for me as somebody who lived in Seattle for about 4 years, that the show I think does well to do or does well at doing as well, where in the game I think you cross through the convention center like at some point. I'm like, this is fucking cool. Like
PAX.
Yeah, it's PAX. Like I love that I'm seeing the landmark. In the show, there's a moment where they go through Capitol Hill and Ellie.
Why are there all these rainbows?
Yeah, they're like, why are there all these rainbows, right? And like I this is one of those things where I think the show does such an excellent job of pulling things together like thematically in ways that like in ways that I think have led to the reveal of like the I'm pregnant, I'm immune thing, like really working out for me, because you have that moment where they see that stuff and they're like, we don't know what this means, but like, all right, cool. They love rainbows.
Maybe they were very optimistic.
So great.
Yeah.
So good.
But toward the end of the episode, right, like there is this like back and forth confession of like, hey, yes, like I'm immune, like the tension of, you know, Dina not believing at first and knowing that like, fuck, like, you know, I'm pregnant, she's bit, like we got to do something about this. And then, you know, that then leading into Ellie proving it to her, that then leading into I'm pregnant, that leading into like them, you know, confirming that relationship, fucking, and Dina then like kind of talking to Ellie about like, no, like, you know, I like girls, but like my mom, you know, taught me this thing, which wasn't right. Like, it all came full circle in a way that I was like, wow, this is really beautifully handled. Yeah. Like, I like
Dude,
how
even
they
just
handle
Ellie being
that.
like, I'm going to be a dad.
Yeah.
Like, that was awesome.
So
I got to laugh out of it.
And that goes back to like different than the game and which is better and which is done well. Like I loved how the game handled it, of it being more of a fight between them and Ellie just being like, why would you come with me? Like when you're pregnant like that, this is such another thing that we need to deal with. But it's like, I'm going to be a dad. It's just, again, I think it strengthens the Belly Ramsey version of Ellie. And I was talking about the cinematography and stuff earlier about like how the show can do such unique things. Like coming into the light is such a theme of Last of Us, both 1 and 2. But Ellie sleeping and being woken up by the water falling on her. Mm-hmm. And when we ever see from her perspective looking at Dina, you can't see her because it's just blinded by the light, right? And then as they're having the conversation, she turns off that flashlight and opens up the lantern. She's just like beautifully lit by it. It's like, damn, man, those are the little things, right? Of just like these character motivations and growth shown through visuals, right?
Visually going from the walls up to the walls down. Now I'm back to being Dina, and I'm here. I believe you, and I'm scared, and I'm crying, and everything else. Yeah.
I will say, like, I do want more pushback from Ellie as far as Dina being pregnant and going along in the mission. Like, I know we got a bit of that toward the end of the episode, and, you know, Dina looks at her and is like, or I forget if Ellie said this or Dina, but, like, they're, like, together, right, and they hold hands. That seems to me like they're going to, you know, continue this mission. I want more of that pushback. I don't know. I feel like if you are on this, like, revenge mission, you know now you have confirmation that you're in the most dangerous area you could possibly be, right? Like, the chances are that this isn't going to go good. You gotta send Dina back.
See, I understand that, but I also feel like they're in this on another level than video game Ellie and Dina, where I feel like it's together. We're doing this 100%. It's been that way from literally the beginning with the cookies, right? I'm just like, I brought these because you're gonna be mad. Here's everything I know, and then she shows up at the house that night, right? And she's like, you're doing this all wrong. X, Y. Like they're fused. I'd be interested to see if it's at this next episode, if they do 2 mushrooms again, and this time one of them's Dina, right? That was such a big deal. We had talked about when they took away Joel in the intro, right? If they'll bring Dina in there and put it to really signify that they're together on this for us as viewers or whatever. Because I think that's sweet, and I think it establishes the relationship and where they're going. But I think just the way they're playing this relationship, any more pushback would, I think, be out of left field based on Ellie, like having this one moment of like, you should go back, but no, we're together.
Yeah, and Ellie's view on life in general, right? I feel like we're seeing such a different Ellie here, like constantly the way that she was training with Jesse, like all the MMA stuff, which we see her use in this episode, which I thought was great. But yeah, I feel like she's just a little bit more, it's a different type of headstrong than the game Ellie. And I think that like the concept of a baby in this world, like to children, these are 19-year-olds, right? That have only known this level of existence. I feel like the concept of protecting babies and like protecting a pregnant woman, it's just different. You know what I mean? Like these are people that every day are out there holding guns at all times. So I just think that the way the show's presented it, like I'm with what Greg's saying of like, that we're in this together, I think signifies such a different thing than I need to protect you for some weird dynamic between us, which again in the game that dynamic makes sense, but here I buy it.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see how it plays too of where we know this is going, right? Of like, there's going to be a scene where Ellie's going to take out somebody who's pregnant, and it hits, I think, a bit different with knowing what her relationship is with Dina, and I think they do a good job here of, you know, Ellie's reaction of, oh, I'm going to be a father, right? Like, I think that excitement that Ellie's playing this as is, going to be very, like, I guess, effective of where we're going to see that go when she has that moment with, I forget the character's name. It's not Nora, but like the Mel, thank you, the character that she has.
They forgot her name too.
They did.
When they said she was the only one they didn't remember.
Yeah.
I want to keep talking about this episode after a quick word from our sponsors.
This episode is brought to you by Imperial. We've told you all how important it is to developers to wishlist games that you're interested in. So if this sounds cool to you, make sure you wishlist it. Imperial is a complex, feature-rich action RPG where you'll be sent to a planet in a far-off corner of the galaxy to explore an imposing monolith. As an elite mercenary, you'll join the expedition tasked with unearthing the secrets of the monolith and face off against the deadly automatons within. In Imperial, you'll explore 4 vastly different quadrants of the monolith, accessible only by using mysterious artifacts known as cartograms. Each cartogram affects which enemies, boss fights, and loot will appear when you enter the monolith, so no 2 excursions will be the same. Find even more cartograms to explore by looting defeated enemies or buy them from other players online at the trading post. Imperial features 3 weapon archetypes: the fast-paced acrobatic glaive, the defense-focused mace and shield, or the devastating cannon, with a range of customizable skills and abilities that can make short work of the awaiting automatons. Your weapons and abilities can be changed before any excursion into a cartogram, so if a loadout isn't working for you, you can mix things up to create the perfect playstyle. Help the members of the expedition in deep branching quests and aid other players in asynchronous multi Xbox Series X and S and PS5. Wishlist now. It helps so much. Wishlist Imperial.
This episode is brought to you by Aura Frames. If you haven't called your mom in a while, here is your reminder to do it. But then you want to go above and beyond. Mother's Day is coming up, and I have the perfect gift idea. Aura Frames are incredibly smart and easy to use, allowing you to upload unlimited photos and videos directly from your phone to the frame. Plus, you can order the frame online and preload it with photos and videos using the Aura app, so it's ready to go right out of the box. It's a gift so special, they'll use it every day. Greg, Kevin, and a ton of people here at Kinda Funny are obsessed with their Aura frames. It takes about 2 minutes to set up a frame using the Aura app. So the next time you need to call your mom, you could also send her a new pic of you from that gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off plus free shipping on their best-selling Carver matte frame. That's AURA frames.com, promo code Kinda Funny. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. It's super great that mental health awareness is growing, but there's still progress to be made. 26% of Americans who participated in a recent survey say they have avoided seeking mental health support due to fear of judgment. We can do better. No reason for fear. BetterHelp has over 10 years of experience matching people with the right therapist from their diverse network of more than 30,000 licensed therapists with a wide range of specialties. Some of my best friends use BetterHelp and love how helpful it can be for learning positive coping skills and how to set boundaries. It empowers you to be the best version of yourself. It isn't just for those who've experienced major trauma. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. We're all better with help. Visit betterhelp.com/kindafunny to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/kindafunny. BetterHelp.com/kindafunny. And we're back. CJ Splits on in the chat says, to me, it feels like Ellie and Dina are trapped in Seattle, not there to shed blood. And I think that that's something that I appreciate about it, where I think that it's not till Abby's story where we see the football stadium and like how big the WLF is that you kind of like understand, like, oh, damn, like Ellie was crazy for going into this like that. I think that the show has done again, it's different, but a great job of showing the military force that the WLF has, and even having Dina like see the tower and the WLF graffiti and being like, that's a sign, like that's them like messing with us or whatever. I think that the presence of the WLF in Seattle and how much they are running it and owning it, that level of fear, it's different. Different position for them in this episode, them seeing like the kind of war between the presumably Seraphites and WLF happening in the middle of the city, and then them being like, we're doing this together. I just think that it adds a context to it that's not just whatever it takes, we're gonna go kill Abby. You know,
I think it becomes in a lot of ways an underdog story. Ellie and Dina feel small in this. They've entered a grand thing, whereas I feel like, and I think it's perfectly illustrated by the news station fight, where it is that like Ellie almost gets killed, and it takes everything she has to take that one guy down, right? It's not the video game of sneaking, sleuthing, killing 7 people, and then a cutscene story happens. We have to run, right? It is like this happens, but the gun still goes off, and Dina say it's like pandemonium, right? Let alone to see the size of the military, like you're talking about, in the amount of people and clickers and stuff we would have killed to get there. I think it's another interesting point of like, as fast as last episode's trip from Jackson to Seattle happened, I was like, damn, we didn't run into any infected. We didn't do anything like that. To get there where we are now and have it again mean that, like, well, we didn't because they actually are such a grander threat than they are in the video game. Everything is a grander threat that I think that's what makes that moment here at the end of the episode even more powerful. Or it's funny because Jen was watching last night. She's like, if I didn't know everything, this is where I'd be like, that's unbelievable. Where it is the together and they look out across a war zone to see the building they need to get to. Where it's like the way they've set stakes for me as a viewer watching, I'm like, damn, deck is stacked against them. What are they going to do? What other horrors they have to get through? And it's only because it's been this slow build to there.
Yeah, for me, the fear of the WLF came in for me of Dina and Ellie's perspective when they're in that cell, when you see the smoke grenades come in and there's like an organization that they have, right?
Yep.
Like they are, this is military. Like they now see that. And I think that sets the stage very interesting where I think you are going to see it as this underdog thing, right? But one of the thoughts I had and questions I want to present to you guys, because it's been a minute since I played Last of Us 2. I think
we go. This is where we always get ourselves in trouble.
Since launch, right? But like, when does Ellie's bloodlust come in? Like really? Obviously, like she's going after Abby. Her and Dina are on this mission, but I know there's like a turn at some point, or maybe just a gradual thing.
Yeah,
right?
Nora.
But my thing is, I think game wise, I felt a bloodlust from Ellie from the jump. I feel like it's like she jumps like from the journey to Seattle. It feels different than how they're presenting it in the show. I do think in the show it's going to be the Nora moment that I think, especially now. Well, you guys didn't watch the fucking Next Time On because whatever, but
I did.
Okay, cool.
I think
last week I didn't, just because it happened.
Yeah, well, like I said, we're talking about all spoiler stuff for this, but yeah, the spores, they're being introduced.
Yeah.
And that's cool. An interesting thing, especially because they didn't have them last time, so why are they doing it now? I was saying in last week's episode, I think that, like, to me, it makes sense because we are talking about a ground zero. The lower levels of the hospital are kind of the craziest that we've seen in the game so far. In terms of infected and what that could mean. And I was going to be let down with the Nora situation because I do think that the spores in that scenario make it so much scarier and like more visceral. But this episode proved that you don't need them because the Dina turn of the bite and all that stuff worked just as well. But yeah, I think that in the episode where she kills Nora, like I think that's going to be bloodlust and anger to a degree that you can't return from. I feel like that's when it's going to be killing, like not just to kill, but it's like, oh,
enjoying.
It's exactly. It's like, oh fuck, we're too far gone.
That's when we're on the hunt, right? That's like this has all been the prelude to actually getting there, and that's why she, I think that's when we see the Ellie that we saw at the kitchen table when she whispered Abby, right? Like I rewatched last week's episode again because Jen hadn't seen it because of how we reviewed. And so, like, again, that's, for me, one of the most powerful, understated moments from Bella Ramsey's performance so far. I'm just like, and the girl with the braid, Abby. Like, she just says it in a way of, like, it's just all told with the voice and the look of, like, I've been questing for that one piece of information since that moment, and I finally have it. I'm going to fucking kill her. And I think we kind of saw that today of, like, or yesterday watching when the thing goes off and mentions Nora, and she's like, Nora's one of them, and you see her, like, kind of go, like, the sheer point of back on that track.
We got some super chats. CJ Splitson says, how do we feel about the lack of Tommy in Seattle? I still think we'll get there.
I think so too.
Like we build up Jackson so much, like we're gonna get back in Jackson, and there's gonna be the conversation of where's Ellie and Dina, and then
you think so?
I think so.
My prediction, and I'm often wrong, but I would think you're gonna get, hey, they're going to that building and get pinned down, and it looks all is lost, and then ping, ping, sniper shots are going off, and they're like, what the fuck is it? And that's gonna be Tommy.
Well, yeah, I mean, that could happen too. Maybe we don't actually get it in. We're gonna get the context of Tommy comes to Seattle, and the reason being, like, he'll explain to them, or maybe not. Maybe they don't even actually meet up or anything. Like,
I mean, I feel like that's big for the story of like, Tommy and Jesse coming to Seattle and what happens when they have like that big encounter.
Yeah.
So
dude,
you got to bring them at some point.
I was going to bring this up earlier.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What the theater? Like walking in the theater, I was like, oh my God. Like, I didn't expect it to hit me as hard as it did. I was like, damn, this is where shit goes down, man.
Yeah.
And like, I just love seeing them like just start walking around, and I'm like, oh man, there's going to be so much more here.
What about the horse? They never blew up the horse. Which honestly, like honestly, that's fine. I don't need you to blow up a horse, but I was surprised of like, oh, cool. We just locked away Shimmer in a room, and Shimmer never got blown up.
Shimmer's in the music store forever.
Yeah.
that is interesting. I wonder if Shimmer returns.
Yeah.
Shimmer will return.
El Capitan says, based on the trailer for next week, do you think we're getting the Rat King before the end of the season?
I guess I didn't see the trailer for next week. Is it implied?
I mean, it's building towards it for sure.
It's the hospital stuff they're talking about. I think you do.
Yeah, by the end of the season, I think that it would make sense. That also a big end of season kind of like moment and thing.
Similar to like that when the bloaters got introduced at the end of last season, right? When that one village fell.
I could see it, especially if they are doing the... I haven't watched this season and all, so you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if they're doing kind of holding a lot of Abby stuff for the next season, I think there could be some playful
You were having fun.
seeing the Rat King stuff from Ellie's perspective, which then, like, if you cut over to Abby's episode and perspective from it, you could possibly see kind of
absolutely.
like,
yeah. I mean, I don't think we get a full-on battle or anything with the Rat King, but I definitely think it'll be like, we will know there's this big-ass scary thing here.
Sure.
Fuck yeah.
And then Cooking with Vinny says, I just don't believe in this Ellie's revenge quest. The game's Ellie gave me the sense of blind rage towards Abby and when Dina was a burden for being pregnant. Yeah, I just think it's different. Like, again, I feel like the game did a great job of setting up that story, but I think the story they have here is a different take on it.
It's just the weird thing of translating it to TV, because also in the game you're murdering so many people on the way there, right? Like there's just a different feel to video game Ellie than TV Ellie. And honestly, like I think for me this season it took me a minute to warm up to TV Ellie. I think this episode was the thing to sell me though. Like I think the back and forth with Dina is more vital to, I think, establishing Ellie's character as somebody you connect to and somebody that, like, I think that is her grounding in this world.
Well, she's finally happy, right? She finally has something to be happy about or show light. She's been so dark this entire time.
But I also think there's the thing of, TV Ellie sometimes doesn't even feel as practical as like video game Ellie, where video game Ellie for me feels like a soldier a lot of times. But I think like having Dina there in the show to be like, hey, you need boots. Hey, you need supplies. You can't just take bullets. Like, no chucks. There's something about it being a Dina Ellie like team as opposed to it being Ellie solo, which I'm sure we're gonna get there to Ellie solo, right? But like, I think there's something about that paints the story a bit more of a different yet still interesting and fascinating way that I like versus the video game version where I think to murder 100 people, like you need that blind
to
rage.
stab Vita girl in the neck.
Yeah, like I think no matter what for Last of Us 2 as a story, like that is a video game story that works because it's a video game, because it is about like being in this violent place and like as a player what it means to go through on this like war rampage across people so you can do this revenge quest. So I think a slow build in a TV show toward the blind rage makes more sense, especially if the Nora moment is the thing to turn it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing for Ellie in the show to me is that I feel she's a lot more look before you leap, or leap before you look, than the game version, and it's because you're playing the game, so it is different. You're more actively in control, and you, the person, is making decisions of how to go about things. Whereas pairing her with Dina, who does seem a lot more strategic and understanding of like how this is all going to go. I like the concept of them being this team and what happens when they're separated and what happens when Ellie is then going too far, both because of anger or whatever, and doesn't have somebody to not just pull her back, but also like allow her to stop and think about her actions. And I think that's where we can easily get back on track, quote unquote, to where the story needs to get in terms of Ellie's choices and actions or lack thereof thought process turning into disaster for everybody around her.
Yeah. I mean, I guess a bigger question here is, do you see them altering from the video game story in a major way for like character fates and stuff? Because I could also see in the way that we're talking about Ellie and Dina and their relationship and what Dina does for Ellie and Ellie getting in like what pushes Ellie to blind rage mode, in the way that we're talking about like, oh, maybe Ellie doesn't kill Mel or something like that, right? Like, could it be that Dina gets killed also by one of the wolves people or by Abby? And that is like the thing to really send Ellie?
I will be incredibly upset if they kill Dina.
Yeah.
I think that will be a bridge too far for me, that I'm like, I don't think that's a difference that I don't think they can back up. I don't think there's any way they can tell a story that's the right choice. Like, I feel that would be just for shock's
changes it at its
sake
core
and all
a
that.
little bit more.
Because I think getting to the end of the game, like really the theme of The Last of Us 2 and the core story of it all, I think it's important that Dina and the kid live. Like, I think that is so, and that
she's
not
choice
with
Ellie makes be
Exactly,
like, with
yeah.
them around. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really hope that that's not the case.
Yeah, I don't think no, I don't think that'll happen. I think there's two reasons. One's the weakest, the second's the strongest, I think. But the first one would be, remember when we got the initial trailer and the initial characters and everybody was like, they're going to fridge Dina. They're just going to do this trope and da-da-da-da-da. I imagine, first off, again, that's still a trope and people would still be like that. And I just don't think that's the vibe you'd go for. Secondly, is more important. Did you ever watch, The Claw, right? What is that? The wrestling movie? Tim, I need your help. The wrestling movie, it's The Claw, right?
Uh-huh.
Iron Claw.
Iron Claw. Thank
yeah,
you so much.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Iron Claw?
Yeah.
I watched Iron Claw, cried through Iron Claw. What a great movie. And then reading about it afterwards, because I know about the Von Erich family, obviously, through pro wrestling, but reading about it and finding out that there was another brother that they just didn't put in the movie, and it's another brother who also had a very shitty end, like the other brothers in that movie. And they, in one of the interviews with the writer / director, whatever it was just like, why? And they were like, yo, he was in early versions of the script, but it turned out that was just one tragedy too far. Like, it's just like, you can only take so much. And I think if you were to bookend this season with like Joel dies and then so does Dina, like, I think you'd lose everybody, and it would just, and then it would also be completely unbelievable. What's Ellie's journey from there, right? Of just being like the cold-hearted murderer, but also like
But I mean, that's what
to,
she ends up as
nothing
being.
to live for. Yeah, but it's because she has something to lose, and she loses it, and we see her lose it, and then come back to it, right? Like, that's why it's so powerful to go back to the farmhouse, find it empty, open the room, try to play and get the visualization. And again, like, are they ever going to introduce Future Days? Are we ever going to hear the Pearl Jam Future Days song, right? Which is the backbone of the entire game. Like, it all leads back to that song, right? If I ever to lose you, I'd surely lose myself. And that's every relationship in this game. And it's Ellie's end, right?
Yeah, I think we do.
I do too. I do too.
Yeah. Well, everyone, let us know in the comments what you thought of this episode of Last of Us and who you think's going to die in the future of this show. Stay tuned. We're about to do a Cyberpunk 2077 stream, and then after that, Alien Covenant in review. Until next time, love y'all. Goodbye.